It wasn't the algorithm. It wasn't the camera lens. It wasn't even the ideology of the party. It was the inevitable structural response to a fracturing economic cycle. The pattern is unmistakable. When a dominant power reaches its limits, when promises exceed the Treasury's ability to pay, the state does not voluntarily shrink. It does not admit the error. It tightens, it observes, it controls. We look at headlines regarding China. We see facial recognition and gait analysis. We see the social credit score, but these are merely technological skins, placed upon an ancient skeleton. The mechanism is not the story. The incentive is the story. To understand why this system exists and why it is being exported globally, we cannot look at code. We must look at history. We must examine the life cycle of empires, those that ran out of money, and how they attempted to manage decline. The arithmetic is merciless. The sequence is fixed. We will examine 3 historical precedents. 3 moments when the social contract broke, and the eyes of the state turned inward. First, the Roman Empire, specifically the crisis of the 3rd century. Following the golden age of Pax Romana, the costs of empire became unsustainable. The military budget was bloated. The bureaucracy was vast. To pay bills without raising taxes, Nero began debasing the silver denarius. He mixed copper into the silver. He created money from nothing. This worked for a time. But by the year 301 AD, under Emperor Diocletian, the currency had collapsed. Inflation was rampant. The middle class was being wiped out. Citizens fled to hard assets or countryside. Diocletian's response was not to fix money. It was to fix the people. He issued the edict on maximum prices. He mandated what a shoemaker could charge. He mandated what a laborer could earn. To enforce this, he required a primitive form of total surveillance, a network of frumentary spies, informants embedded in the marketplaces. The penalty for violating price controls was death. The incentive for the state was survival. Surveillance was the only way to force economy. Just like the Roman crisis, we moved to the Weimar Republic, Germany 1914 to 1923. German industrial dominance was shattered by war. The costs of reparations were unpayable. The chosen monetary shortcut was printing. The Reichsbank monetized the debt. The result is well known. Hyperinflation destroyed savings of the middle class, a loaf of bread costing billions. But look closer at the social fracture. As the currency died, the flight to hard assets accelerated. Pianos, real estate, gold, anything that wasn't paper. The social fabric tore apart. Crime spiked, trust evaporated. Technology for digital surveillance did not exist, but the psychological demand was created here. The chaos created a population desperate for order. They did not crave freedom, they craved stability. Hyperinflation paved the road for total control. Economic collapse was the prerequisite for surveillance. Just like Weimar Germany, we turn to the modern era, Venezuela 2013 to the present. Once the wealthiest nation in South America, sitting atop the largest oil reserves, the petro state gave way to social costs. When oil prices fell, the government chose the monetary shortcut. They printed the bolivar into oblivion. Inflation hit percentages in the millions. The flight to hard assets was immediate. Those who could left, those who stayed bought dollars or food. Here is the key. To manage this starving population, the state implemented the Fatherland Card. Built with assistance of Chinese technology, this smart card tracks voting behavior. It tracks medical history. It tracks social media usage. It is required to receive food boxes. The surveillance is not just for spying. It is for rationing, digital enforcement of resource allocation. Incentive is control over a dependent population. The pattern repeats in 7 distinct stages. Stage 1 is sound money and productivity, where the nation generates genuine wealth. Stage 2 is the overextension. Bureaucracy grows larger than the economy supports. Stage 3 is the monetary shortcut. Leadership begins to debase the currency. Stage 4 is inflation and instability. Trust in the currency flickers. Stage 5 is the flight to hard assets. Capital flees into real estate or gold. Stage 6 is capital controls and surveillance. The state builds walls to keep wealth inside. Stage 7 is social fracture and consolidation. Surveillance moves from monitoring flows to behavior. Current data suggest we are watching this. Playing out in the world's second largest economy, headlines focus on Chinese surveillance technology, but the driver is the economy. Rapid credit expansion created a debt overhang. Demographics are turning easy growth is over. The rational move is to prepare for turbulence. Social credit is a mechanism for financial repression. It restricts the movement of capital. It restricts the movement of people, linking digital yuan to digital identity. The state prevents the flight to hard assets. The surveillance grid is the dam, built to hold back the floodwaters. Some historians note technology creates new possibilities, arguing big data allows for a planned economy, but the arithmetic of history disagrees. Surveillance does not create resources, it only rations them. No amount of data can pay down debt. The incentive remains preservation of stability. Technology changes, but the cycle logic does not. We are left with 3 potential endgames. The first is a controlled decline, the path of the digital Iron Curtain. The state manages the velocity of money. Living standards fall slowly, capital is trapped. The regime survives by creating a closed loop. The second is a chaotic collapse. Economic pressure overwhelms the control grid. Inflation spirals beyond the algorithm's ability. Black markets bypass the digital surveillance. Trust in the central authority evaporates entirely. The third is a reset and restructure. A new monetary paradigm is introduced. Full transition to programmable central bank digital currency. Old debts are written down or inflated away. Access is conditional on the social credit score. Modern equivalent of the German Rentenmark, but with digital enforcement replacing physical scarcity. The only variable is timing and pain. Subscribe to the channel. Study the history of capital controls. Understand how value moves when gates close. The data is there for those looking.